Well, it's encouraging when your team pulls off a victory without your stud quarterback. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am starting to play catch up with videos, but in this video, gotta talk about Jake, as in Jake Maier. Yes, last week at this time, even last week I made my video talking about the fact that quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was going to be placed on the 6-game injured list with a broken fibula, which the Calgary Stampeders didn't know the extent of that injury until after the Week 2 game against the BC Lions, where apparently he injured himself on a play in Week 1 against the Toronto Argonauts, and they thought maybe it was just a lingering bone bruise and pain. But I made that video, and it was assumed that whole week going into Week 3 that the Calgary Stampeders were playing against the Montreal Alouettes still at home, that it was Michael O'Connor that was going to be the start. It looked like he was the logical choice to start at quarterback, given that he actually had some CFL experience. Jake Maier never played it down in the CFL until he started Week 3, but he got named as starter heading into Week 3, and that was kind of a surprise, and that definitely would have changed the tone of the video that I would have made, talking about Bo being put on the injured list for 6 games. But ultimately, it did look like at the start for Jake Maier in the first quarter that he definitely did not. He did look like a quarterback that was making his first professional start, because he was making his first professional start. However, I think once he shook off the initial jitters, making his first professional start, it's only one game, but it's looked encouraging how Jake Maier was able to compose himself, kept the ball moving. His overall, I think his exact numbers for the Week 3 game win against the Montreal Alouettes, he had 16 of 29 for passing. He threw for over 300 yards at 304. He threw for that 1 touchdown to Kamar Jordan. Yeah, he did throw for 2 interceptions, and how I analyzed those interceptions was, one, looked like he underthrew a receiver, and it was the same defender that got the interception for his first one that he almost had on the first drive. And then the second one, he was under pressure under the blitz deep in the Montreal end that ultimately resulted in that turnover. And there was a hot potato play as well, but he was rushed. But I felt that once he got over that, I'll break down the game more in depth each drive that in my Calgary Stampeders this month, after how the Calgary Stampeders play against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on the road, which is the next game as of this recording, which Jake Maier will be the quarterback once again as starter expected. I'll throw that in there. But I think how he did in his first game, it was passable. How he moved the ball. And he almost kind of reminded me a little bit of Bo, except with a little more of ability to scramble. Because I have noticed how Jake Maier played, that he had a few opportunities that when the pocket collapsed, he actually did move, try to avoid it a lot more. And he had a few passes that were pinpoint. It wasn't very spectacular. I don't think Jake Maier at this stage, hopefully prove me wrong, that it's a lot to say, that I do not think he is going to be the second coming of Doug Flutie, who I say is the best quarterback to ever play for the Calgary Stampeders. But there was definitely some elements in Jake Maier's game that I seen that it almost reminded me of Bo. Heck, it was one time that Bo eventually got his first start, and I think there was Down with Dave, the segment on TSN with Dave Naylor, and he broke down Jake Maier's performance in his first start at the CFL, and how often not only the first starter gets their first win, but throwing over 300 yards. He said that only happens 17% of the time. So it was encouraging to see that Jake Maier was able to get 300 yards. He was able to move the ball. I mean, he threw for that one touchdown, and then the two other short plays were running plays that Kadeem Carey running in, but we moved the ball after the first quarter. It did also help, and I think that might show that maybe there's some more confidence. That I'm going to say the biggest play for Jake Maier was that razzle-dazzle play, where he had that 83-yard play to Josh Huff. So, who knows what to expect for Jake Maier. Although I'm still tempering my expectations that it was only one game. It was in very tough circumstances where we didn't know he was going to be the starter until the day before when the depth chart came out. And it did look like after the first quarter that maybe, we were going to see Michael O'Connor play in the game. But he stuck with it and was able to work his way out of the funk in the first half, especially after the first quarter, early in the second quarter. It also helped that there was a Royce Mechie interception that happened deep in Calgary territory where we could have had a different ball game, which I'll break that more down in my Calgary Stampeders this month after the Winnipeg game. But now the big test is going to be to see how Jake Maier is going to play his second start, as expected, when the Calgary Stampeders go on the road into Winnipeg under hostile territory. And Winnipeg, I think, is going to be a little angry after their game last week against the Toronto Argonauts on the road. But from what I've seen out of Jake Maier, how the team prepared him, and I think I understand, although I was obviously at the game and not watching it on TSN, that apparently there was a clip where our head coach Dave Dickinson apparently explained why ultimately he decided to start Jake Maier over Michael O'Connor, which was apparently the consensus was who was going to start in place for Bo. I mean, obviously, Michael O'Connor was always listed as the number 2 quarterback behind Bo Levi Mitchell, at least the first 2 games of the regular season. I mean, Jake Maier was on the injured list for the first week. He was injured, and then he was on the practice roster. Then he was activated as the number 3 guy for week 2, so that's where, it was understandable that at the time that, Michael O'Connor is going to start, because he at least had some CFL experience. I mean, you got to get it to get it, if you know what I mean, like actually play, but he must have did something in practice for Dave Dickinson's got to say, Jake, you're starting. And I'm going to say it was passable, it wasn't pretty, wasn't too spectacular, but, at this stage, that's all we want. We just want someone to keep this team going in the right direction. Not necessarily replace Bo, not expecting, another coming of Doug Flutie, Jeff Garcia, or Henry Burris, or even, before my time. I mean, I wasn't around for Jerry Keeneling or Pete Lisk, but, as long as we just win games, at least keep them close, and Calgary has done that all this point, that if Jake Maier, how he showed, we'd have the luxury that we can wait till Bo is totally healthy, have him come back just in time for the playoffs, if we get into the playoffs, that is, seeing how the West is. It looks really tight right now, but, maybe have another option for a couple drives to have a more athletic, mobile quarterback. Kind of similar to the decision that the Ottawa Redblacks might be finding themselves in right now with Matt Nichols as quarterback, struggling to move the offense, but Ottawa at least has a backup in Dominique Davis, who is a more mobile quarterback. I think, Jake Maier, I'm going to say from what I've seen, and I'm trying to also remember when Bo first made his first starts, and I think I remember Bo, his first professional start, but he was with the team, for 1.5 years, and worked under the system at the time. He did throw for almost 400 yards. I think it was in Winnipeg. This was Jake Maier. We signed him last year in 2020, and then the season did not happen for the pandemic, and then he only had a shorter training camp. So I'm going to say it was tougher for what Jake Maier did, given the circumstances, knowing that he's the guy trying to replace Bo Levi Mitchell, and I'm sure he's well aware of all the quarterbacks that Calgary's had and what Bo has done for the Calgary Stampeders. But, he did a pass, and I'm going to say that was a great performance for Jake Maier after the first quarter. But, I guess I can give him the first quarter, being that was his first professional start. But it'll be intriguing to see how the season goes with Jake Maier or even Michael O'Connor, as long as Bo is on the sideline. But from what I've seen, I'm at ease just a little. But if he does a few more games of that, especially on Labor Day, maybe we have a new star that's born. That we're going to say Jake Maier. Jake Maier for mayor. So we might see some of those signs, given that this is an election. Yes, we have the fair election, but we also have a municipal election in October. Jake Maier for mayor, although his number is number 12. So as I say, what did you thought of Jake Maier's performance for his first start in the CFL as a Calgary Stampeder? He gets a pass, but we'll see how he does in Winnipeg. And then we'll see how he does on Labor Day against those Edmonton Elks. So anyways, like I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, where I recap games and stories, and I felt this story was enough to make a video on. But after the Calgary Stampeders wrap up August, they get their game in Winnipeg against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, seeking revenge from the West semifinal loss in 2019, should I add. And then I'll come back with my Calgary Stampeders this month, where I'll break down all 4 games that the Calgary Stampeders have had so far in the 2021 season, including how Jake Maier has done this past game and this game coming up. But I also do a variety of non-sports content when I've had time, which has been very little lately, and I have been trying to combat COVID fatigue and burnout. But I do also have personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and also have shared experience in Montreal this morning, which has been a bulk of my content the last few weeks because of there's been games, and we've had 3 straight home games to start. So the Calgary's actually on the road, so I'm hoping to maybe catch up with videos. But anyway, and the vlog on the go, which I took a little break from that, but I do have some possible upcoming trips planned where I actually get to go somewhere else. What a concept, eh? Maybe that will help with my COVID fatigue and burnout. But if that all sounds like the interest to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I also have my other social links down in the description below, and my Calgary Stampeders this month has been a segment where I recap how the Calgary Stampeders have done this past month. But I also have had a second channel called YouTube Shorts, Brett Hornby Shorts for my YouTube Shorts, as I meant to say. That's where I do a quick post-game recap, so I already have 3 of those. But also on this main channel, which I'm going to start thinking, I think the day before the game now, it'll be easier. I'll do a Calgary Stampeders game day post, so that's why make sure you like to subscribe to this channel, which is my main channel. But I also do have a shorts channel where I occasionally put a YouTube short on there. So anyways, I want to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And go Stamps go, and Jake Maier for mayor. If his performance builds on from what he did week 3 against the Montreal Alouettes, we might be seeing some of those signs as well. But let's just hope we continue to show we do actually have quarterback depth with Bo down. It's coming to the test right now. So thanks for watching.